And welcome to another fantastic episode of RGDS, your retro gaming discussion show. It's your host, Paul Driscoll, aka The Drisk, and joining me today is the Yakmeister himself. Yes, it's Richard Yaxley. How are you, matey? How's things?
Good, mate. Yeah, brilliant. How are you doing?
Oh, really good, really good. Christmas seems a distant memory, though.
It certainly does, mate.
Amazing how quick it's back to the humdrum, isn't it? Anyway, so for today's episode, we thought we'd do another X-Copy Dat Floppy, because they've been quite popular with people. People enjoy them. And, you know, this is volume 3 in the series. We're racking them up here, aren't we?
Certainly are, mate.
Yeah. But before we go into the main show itself, let's catch up with what we've been doing retro-wise. So, Rick, you been up to anything? Did Santa bring you any nice little retro gizmos or toys? Or
No, Santa forgot me this year, mate. I got absolutely
just a lump of coal.
Yeah.
As you said on the Christmas episode, it's all about the kids, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, exactly, mate. Exactly. No, I mean, yeah, really, it's all been, the Christmas stuff, really. The in-laws came down to visit us, and we were meant to all go up because they got a holiday home down where we live, and we were meant to go up there for Christmas Day, but unfortunately my missus fell ill, and because they're of a little bit frail, a bit worried about giving them the flu, so we ended up having Christmas Day at home. We let the little girl go up to him because she was okay, and me and my missus and the little boy just stayed down here, and because we didn't have any bloody food, we had to leg it round the shop well sharpish. And what I ended up for Christmas dinner was a steak with a few sprouts, some potatoes and bits and pieces, and instead of gravy we had peppercorn sauce. It was actually pretty banging.
So Christmas was you managed to offload the kids. It sounds like it's very good, actually. You did well there. Had a nice quiet Christmas.
Yeah, it was all right, mate. Yeah, we were just just sat and watched the little boy open up a few of his presents. He got scared of one of them. It's this stupid little crab that lights up, and it's got a really weird little whistly tune, and it scared the shit out of him. He's trying to crawl away from it.
Bless.
But he loved his little drum we got him. Like he's been banging on this little drum that lights up when you hit it, and he's been enjoying that. So it's been good, really.
No, it is good. Although it's always a bit disheartening, isn't it? You buy them this lovely present, and they're more interested in the box. And
that's what I said. That's what I said to my missus. You just get him some cardboard boxes and let him play with the paper. Exactly. He'll be happy as a sandboy.
Exactly. Yeah, it was like with Mira. She was this is her fourth. Well, she's 4, so it'd be her 4th Christmas, I guess. But it's really this is where she's starting to know what it's all about. So it's like, she started off. We had to wake her up, actually. So she wasn't like,
oh blimey,
waking up. But then when she woke up and she opened the first present, she got the idea pretty quick.
Every time I open this paper, I get something cool.
Yeah. Oh, bless. But yeah, she was having a good time making like little forts and things. Behind the sofa and that.
Oh, that's just cool. Using the old sofa cushions and stuff.
Yeah. Nice. So, so that was really cool. Is there anything else you've been up to retro-wise?
Oh, mate, no, not really. It's just been so busy the beginning of the year, really. I'm still trying to hunt for a job and all that, and because the in-laws have been, the nan is quite ill. She come down a bit ill. We've been sort of running backwards and forwards, getting them shopping and stuff, so I've not really had much chance. I played the arcade machine a little bit. Just trying to see some of the hacks that are on that, because I've got the Mister in my candy cab. I've got all access to loads of these hacked and interesting ROMs. I've been dabbling with the Final Fight ROM with all the sort of, I can't remember what it's called now. It's like
swap the characters.
That's right. Yeah, it's like an anniversary edition, they call it, and it's got loads of extras, and it's just a little bit fun. I've been dabbling with that because I haven't really delved into it properly before, and I've been rebuilding a hard drive for my Amiga 1200. I've basically got an SD card in my laptop at the moment, and I'm trying to install and partition it with, what was I using now? It was
Amiga
Workbench Classic.
Oh, okay.
It's a package that installs the MUI and all little different apps that make it. I mean, it's well alien to me because my Amiga installation back in the day was quite basic. I had a few things I got off the old Amiga format and CU Amiga CDs in the late 90s, so to speak, but this has got loads of bells and whistles on it. It puts a copper gradient in the background and all that, you know, so it makes it look a bit more snazzy. But yeah, just been dabbling with that because I'm thinking about selling my Amiga 1200, unfortunately, because I need some cash. So I thought I'd just sort the bloody hard drive out for someone.
To be honest, emulation is just as good. It really
it's
is
rock solid, isn't it, mate? Yeah. Really. I mean, I think it's just because I really fancied the idea of having an Amiga sort of set up with the mouse and everything on a nice CRT monitor that I could go to and maybe start doing some mod music or use Deluxe Paint just for a bit of nostalgia. But like you say, you can you could hack together a really old like PC and just have a video out to a CRT and it'd still be the same.
Or even a Pi.
Yeah, or even a Pi. Yeah, you can use a composite cable out of there, can't you?
Did. Yeah. So, yeah. And of course you get like builds like Amiga is another one, a bit like what you were describing, but that's got all the games built on.
That's right. Yeah. Actually, sorry, mate. I was going to say, I remember back in the day, like sort of in the early 2000s, I stumbled across something called Amiga in a Box or Amiga in a Box, something like that. It was. Yeah. And what that did is it set it up so it like the Amiga it was emulating had all the bells and whistles like proper graphics card. And it was in 256 colours and all that. It looked really impressive back then. I obviously can't do that on a real hardware, but I might build myself another hard drive, to run with UAE or something, or FSUAE.
I mean, I'll be honest. I've never did it with the 1200. I've just got like I forget what you call them. The disk drive emulator.
Gotek.
Gotek, that's it.
Yeah.
So I've got one of those. But to be honest, and sometimes I really want to play the real deal. But since this video of showing how to set up Launchbox, which is definitely you've used Launchbox before, or do you know what it is?
Yeah, I recently installed it just to have a little look at it, and I think because I'm interested in maybe trying to, because I've got what I did when I picked up my arcade machine. I picked up like this really knackered old bloody thing from Wales. I got this what do you want to call it? They're like gambling arcade machines. So it's like a nice frame. I'd have to do some modification to put like a joystick panel on it. But I was thinking about making a MAME setup and using Launchbox, because I know you've got like the Pro version, haven't you, where it gives you a more slick menu and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I just use I've actually paid for the big box just because I wanted to support them, but to be honest, I use just the freebie bit, the Launchbox bit, but then I'm not trying to make it look, I just want something that has all the box art, and because for me that's the real nostalgic thing of seeing the box art and that. But honestly, it's so good because using RetroArch through Launchbox, and RetroArch can read WHD download files, LHA files.
Yeah, gotcha.
So for me it's exactly how I've always wanted the Amiga to be. I click a button, I don't have to worry about disk swaps, don't have to worry about the config, and boom, it's loaded up. And it will run, the loading's quicker, and it feels more like it's an Amiga, but feels more like you're playing at the ease of a console. So it's kind of cool.
It's a tough one with the Amiga, isn't it? Because I suppose in a certain way it does depend how you used it back in the day. Like I did do a lot of dabbling in Workbench and using all the trackers and Photon Paint and things like that. So I kind of missed the nostalgia of using the Workbench area. So, but I mean, it depends what you want to do in it. If you just want to play some games, instead of worrying about having a big Workbench installation with loads of bloody, hard drive installed games, you literally just can fire up Launchbox, click on a game you want to play, and it loads it, in a bloody sandbox.
Yeah. Well, I've got the Amiga Mini, where as well as all the games, like literally every single one you can imagine, I've also got the I think it's called Amiga, or Armin Amiga. And it's it just basically that's got the Workbench with everything on it. So if I do get to be honest, I wasn't much of a dabbler. I mean, I used to do the play around with Amos. I used to use Deluxe Paint quite a bit, but beyond that was about as far as I got through.
Yeah, sure.
No, really cool. Yeah, I mean, for me, I bought a few little things for Christmas. One of the things actually was, it's called a Centicam for the Switch, and it's basically I've been, when I saw it, I was like, why is, I need this in my life. And essentially, it's a really tiny device that simulates the docking station.
Oh, right.
So if you're traveling around, or for me, it's less about traveling around. I wanted my monitor in my bedroom to be able to do the Switch and not have to bloody haul everything across, because I can never get used to the small screen. You know, if I'm playing the games, I want it on a big screen.
Yeah.
And it works brilliantly. It's like a 30 quid device, and you just literally, this tiny device, you literally plug in the HDMI.
Yep.
It's got like the power cable for the USB-C and the USB charger, you know, if you want to hook up your controller or whatever. Yeah. And away you go. So it's great. Yeah. So rather than, because it was driving me nuts, like every time I've been kicked out of the lounge, which was a lot. I was having to take all the power cables,
all the gubbins, yeah.
And now I've got the setup where it's literally, I just literally take the Switch and then plug in the HDMI and away I go. So it's really
handy.
good. That, yeah, I'll put in the show notes what that is. The other thing you'll appreciate as well is I used some of my Christmas money. I bought I never know how to say the name, Psikyo collections.
Oh yeah, Psikyo,
yeah. Alpha and Brava. They're still down till the 14th of January, so it depends when this goes out, but they're down to £17.99 each, which just sounds like a lot, but when you think like they've each got about 6 solid shooters on them. So Alpha's got Striker 1945, 1945 2, 1945 3, Soul Divide, and Dragon Blaze and Zero Gunner 2.
Oh, blimey.
Really solid. And Bravo's got Samurai Aces Episode 1, Episode 2, and unfortunately Episode 3, which is the rubbish one. But it's also got, which one I don't know yet, actually, Gumbarich.
Oh, I don't think I've heard that one.
No, and Gumbird 1 and 2, they were the ones.
Oh, Gumbird, they're my favourites.
So I was like, really, because I know, like, to be honest, Zero Gunner 2 doesn't emulate very well on the MAME, for example.
Sure, yeah.
And you always get that slight lag on MAME, particularly when you're playing those sort of Twitch shooters. So I'm hoping it'll be a lot more solid on the Switch, the official ones, and of course you've got your lead tables and all the usual stuff.
Yeah, that makes it more interesting, doesn't it? Yeah, for sure. So chuffed with that. I haven't had much time. The other thing you'll like, I just wanted to shout out as well, is there's a free homebrew game. Have you seen it? Called Robocop versus Predator. No, I did hear. I think someone's. I don't know. It was you.
I put the post on out because that's one thing to our listeners is like with all these sales and things that I'm talking about here. If I see something cool, I will put it on Discord. So yeah. There's a plug to join our Discord group.
Join the Discord.
But it's really good. I had a quick go on it. It's done like a Game Boy game, although it's on PC. And it's really professionally done. It's like a professional release. It's got loads of bonus levels and things. And it's totally free, obviously, because they don't want to get sued, I guess.
Nah, sure.
But knowing what a fan you are of movie, talks about Alien and things, definitely want to put on your list if you ever do.
I'd have to check it out, mate. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so you can see it's really well done. I mean, it's a real labour of love. It's not like something that someone's thrown together.
No, it does look really, it's got really nice sprite style. It's a cool looking little game. I'd have to definitely dig into that, and have a go on it.
And another plug to our listeners, if you're wondering what it looks like, check out our video version. Because it takes me bloody ages to do it.
It does.
And nobody watches it. It's only 1% of our people watch it. Not that I'm moaning, but I am. I'm sorry, I always have loads of things. The other thing I've set off as well, you saying about the Amiga, there's a Exo-DOS version 6. I've got that dutifully downloading, 650 gigabytes. But do you know the Exo-DOS?
I don't think I do, mate. No.
So basically, this is some individuals, and it's a front end for all the DOS games, so basic DOS box, but they put a real labour of love. It's got all the history of every single game. You can play like a jukebox of the music separately. It's got all the magazines. That's probably what takes up a lot of the space. Manuals, things like that. And version 6, I think, it's got about 7,000 DOS games. So another labour of love. I'll put it in the show notes. But yeah, it's it's taken a while to download, but it's
I
it's
bet it
coming
is.
down.
Yeah, blimey. I bet there's some gems in there, though, isn't there? You know, there's going to be some.
Oh, it's got everything
in
you can. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I love is that they've chosen the best things. It's like on Wing Commander, they've chosen the version that has the option. It gives you options to put the cheat on. So whereas it used to be like a batch file cheat or something you would put on the front end, if you wanted, they've built it in. So
they've built all this stuff like that
and they
in,
do it as a batch file. Do you want the cheat on? Yes or no?
Yeah.
And like for which sound card do you want? You don't have to do the config, but perhaps your memories is not the Sound Blaster, but like I don't know, the beeper chip or something.
Yeah, or the MT. For sure. Yeah.
So it's just nicely done. So I'm looking forward to that.
Cool.
Talking of videos, I'm on. I finally did letter Y of my best letter of an arcade edition, where I've going through all the best arcade games. So that'd be good for when you're on your arcade machine, you can have a look-ski.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
I'm looking forward. I was like really itching to do the last letter and finish the series, but then I had to do prep for this, and there's an upcoming episode I'm doing with Kiggy that's quite ambitious. So
cool. Looking forward to that then.
Yeah. So that's it really. On the last thing I want to mention is you saying with the Amiga. Have you seen that game Reshoot Proxima 3? It's like a new Amiga game that's come out. It's really good. It's really good. I love the other ones, but what's exciting me is because I noticed Antstream today, on the day we're recording of the 9th. Have included it on Antstream because I really wanted, because it's one of those. I think they're charging like £17.99 to buy it.
Oh, blimey!
Which, to be fair, it looks like a labour of love. It's probably worth every penny. But for a digital game on the Amiga, I just couldn't justify it.
No, it's a bit pricey,
but
isn't it?
I'm really chuffed to see that it's on Antstream, and that's exactly what I hoped Antstream would do, is not just do the classics, but get some of the creme de la creme indie. And in fairness, they have been like Flea and some really other good games. So so anyway, that was all my things. So sorry about all the bits.
That's right, you got plenty to shout out.
To shout out. Shall we go on to the main show itself, though?
Yeah, let's do it, mate.
Okay, so this is X-Copy Dat Floppy Volume 3. And, for those new to the series, basically this is where one host suggests 6 hidden gems or lesser known Amiga games to try, isn't it? That's essentially it. So we sort of imagine we're on the schoolyard. Ric's got his 10-pack of floppies or 20-pack of floppies, and he's burning to play something, and he goes to me and says, because I'm like the geeky one in the corner, he's like, I bet he knows. He goes, put on some games for me to play that perhaps are new to me, and it's all a bit of fun, but it's but really what the point of it is, we hope to a lot of our listeners, I know when we've done the previous ones, these games have been new to them and they've really enjoyed the voyage of discovery that we've gone on as well in playing through these games. So and I think that's what's so wonderful about the Amiga and ST is that the games, there's so many games, aren't there, Rick, that are unique to the system.
Yeah, for sure.
And therefore, so many people have passed it by because it was a very short window with the Amiga. You had to be that right age, didn't you, to even consider buying an Amiga.
Yeah, that's right. There's so many games on the system, isn't there? They just fall through the cracks, don't they?
Yeah. So I hope you'll enjoy this one. This time it was me that was making the choices. Last time it was Rick. And before, I think it was a free fall, wasn't it, on the first one?
That's right. The first one was free fall, yeah.
Yeah. Or there was 3 of us, wasn't it? Or 4.
That's right. I think it was Azza on that one. I can't remember now.
Yeah. Yeah, but hope you enjoy. And as I mentioned, that Amiga emulation, I'll put in a video note of how to set up with Launchbox, where it's all you can load it on a click of a button. So there's no excuse to our listeners of saying, "Oh, the Amiga's too difficult to emulate." It used to be the case, but nowadays it's actually not too bad once you get the setup.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's well worth having a go, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I must admit, will I be vilified beaten up by Rick in the schoolyard, or will my choices be redeemed? Will he be, thankful for what I filled his floppy disks with? So, should we go on to the first game then?
Yeah, mate.
Yeah. So the first game I've chosen is LionHeart, released in 1992 by Phylon. Is it Phylon? I never know how to pronounce it. Phalion? I don't know how to
Phalion, I think it is.
Phalion Software, yeah. So this is like a German-developed game. First thing that jumps out of you is its amazing graphics, isn't it? It does have weird controls. It's basically a bloke with a sword, and you're like wandering around the levels. There's 5 levels, but yeah, it does have clunky controls because you have to like press fire and choose a direction, so it's like double the amount of effort that you should do, which is a shame because this could have been a really good, more arcadey Rastam, but you do get used to it, I will say that. So I'm going to go over to you first then, Rick. First of all, was this game new to you, or did you know it, or?
No, not played this one before, mate. No.
Oh, good. So
yes.
Good.
Good start. So yeah, well, what you got? You've got let's start with the positives. The sort of, it's got that typical. I won't say typical, but it's got that really cool sort of intro. And for 92, it's quite. I wouldn't say early, but it's the quality of the games that come out on the Amiga in the later sort of mid to late 90s was amazing for the sort of arcade quality that people were getting. But I'd say that this sort of for 92 really sort of set a new level, because there's a lot of wizardry going on in the graphics department in this game. There's lots of lovely gradients and makes it a really colourful arcadey looking game, doesn't it? It doesn't, there's not 32 colours on the screen in this game, I don't think. It's got quite a lot going on. Lovely sort of European barbarian type artwork. Really like the soundtrack. It's got a real sort of movie like experience in the soundtrack. Very sort of atmospheric and orchestral in many ways. I think this is where I got hung up on it a little bit, because the control scheme was, I found it very difficult to get used to, because like for example, you want to kick something, because you got like those really annoying enemies sort of like in the sort of, I don't know what you call it, a dungeon section or whatnot. They're really small little spidery creatures, and when you want to kick them, you have to hold that button and just slam down forward to get the kick to come out, and it just is so unintuitive, if that makes sense. I kept pressing down forward in the button, and I kept like just holding the sword in the air, and it was just starting to wind me up. But I don't know whether there's a way to hack with a config file or something to maybe, I don't know. It'd be so good. It'd just be so much better if you just press down forward and tap the button to kick. It would solve so many problems.
Yeah, I mean, you get used to it. But you're right, you shouldn't have to get used to it. I mean, once you actually sort of master it and retrain your brain, it's actually, you got so much more control over what you would normally have, because you are truly deciding when you want, when you want to do an attack, and of course you can point the sword down and do it like a Mario jump and things on them and stuff like that. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing actually. When I first started playing it, I didn't know he had that move. So all the enemies, I was trying to sort of use the kick and stuff, and I was getting frustrated and whatnot. And it wasn't until I watched a YouTube video of someone playing it, I'm like, oh, blimey, right, so you can sort of do the almost like a Ryguard jump on the head type move,
Yeah, but you have to remember to pull down.
Yeah, exactly.
And press the fire button.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, why they just didn't, I guess it's I don't know. I mean, you're right, the controls is the thing that frustrates, because everything else for me is perfect. But I used to, I think this is an amazing game, and one that you don't hear a lot of people talk about, but I was quite surprised because I got a dodgy copy back in the day, and
Yeah.
and it's sort of I was just blown away by the music and that sort of graphics and music, and that sort of carried me through. Going back to it, I had less of a problem with the controls as a kid.
Yeah.
Going back to it, I mean, I did play it all the way through this one.
Yeah.
But my word, it took me a long time.
Long haul, this one, yeah.
To get used to, to get a reasonable place where I wasn't like dying. Thankfully, it's quite on the easy or normal setting. It's quite, it gives you a lot of life. So
yeah.
Even while you're learning, you can get through a good few levels.
Yeah, I think with like you said, I think with more practice and a bit more time, I probably would have started to get a little bit more sort of on with the game, so to speak. I mean, it's got some elements like it's got some stridery bits in there, hasn't it, where you sort of slide down the hillsides and things like that. I think the other thing that I think was annoying me a little bit with the game is that it's almost like you should have a pogo stick, because you are constantly jumping up and down.
Well, you effectively got the pogo stick because that's your sword.
Exactly.
But it's just that extra. Yeah, I mean the problem is that whatever you do in this game, it requires you to do two movements.
Instead of one. Yeah.
Fire in a direction, and that's a no-no in an arcade game, really.
Yeah.
But having said that, I mean, two questions: did you play it on a control pad or did you play it on a joystick?
I played on the Amiga mini pad, actually. Yeah, it probably would have been better on a joystick, because
it's infinitely better on a joystick, because it's more,
it's less knackering on your thumb for a start. Yeah.
Well, and it's more intuitive. You start, you realise that's I mean, I fell in love with this game all over again. The graphics, you're right, are absolutely stunning. And of course, to those interested, of course, it's Henk Nierborg who did the graphics. Now, I mean, he did things like Amber Star, Amber Moon on the Amiga, Flink, Adventures of Lomax that we covered the other day. He did some graphics on Max Payne 2 actually as well. But the probably more famous is his later work, actually. He did Gunlord and Xenocrisis.
Oh, right.
That's a huge one. Battle Axe, which is amazing, one with the graphics. He did some of the newer Shantae games, the ones that came out on the Switch and that. And he also did Tiny Thor as well, which is like a brand new game out. Yeah, so, I mean, I think it's an amazing game. I was a huge fan of like these guys' work. But, Adventures of Lomax, I really fell in love with, doing that episode with Kingy, on the PS1.
Yep. And
like Erwin Klopenhofer, I don't know how you say his name, Klopenhofer. I'll go with the third one. He Amber Star and Amber Moon he did as well, which were amazing. I don't know if you ever played those.
I don't think I have actually, mate. No.
RPGs. Well, imagine like you get a sense of the graphical chops of Henk with this, and like some of the other ones I've mentioned. It's him doing an RPG. So
got ya.
Yeah. I one thing actually really surprised me is how well this reviewed back in the day.
I noticed the reviews.
Like 91, 93%. CVG gave it 93%. Amiga Power gave it 88%. One Amiga gave it 91, so really, really up there.
I think I was going to say, I think because it does have like a really good console-like quality, but I think back then people were less set in sort of control schemas, weren't they? They were more willing or more used to adapting to a different gameplay style because of how things were back then. I think we've sort of everything's been homogenized now for us, isn't it, in that way? And I think that's possibly why it didn't irk them so much. There now, exactly. Yeah,
and that's probably why, like as a kid, I didn't find it as difficult with the control scheme, because I guess there were like games. There are other games on the Spectrum that used to, they used to, like, I guess your IK Plus and things had directions, didn't it? Because they were trying to do all these moves on a single joystick. I mean, that's where this would have come from. Of course, it's nice with this. You do get the option of doing two buttons, so thankfully you don't have to press up
all the time to jump.
Yeah. But it's really clever design levels. There's nice little secrets you can find here and there, and I had a blast right through to the end of this. I thought it was a lovely game. It does frustrate there's many times that I died.
Yeah.
And to be honest, after several playthroughs, just because I wanted to see the end of it, I did complete it with a cheat.
Yeah.
In the end, only infinite lives, but it was just because there's so many easy ways to just suddenly
to get killed.
To die. It's usually not from the monsters. It's usually
traps
like
and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, mistiming a jump.
One thing I will say about the game is there's a lot of jumping in this game, and some of the platforms are really stingy with the amount of real estate they give you to land on. I did find I was falling off of things quite a lot, but
that's how I lost most of my life. Was mistiming a jump.
Yeah, for sure. I just one more point then on this, because you said you wanted to see the ending. Apparently, I was looking at YouTube earlier today actually, and there's a real ending for the game. You have to complete it on hard mode.
Yeah, I didn't do the hard one. I only did the basic.
Yeah, I'm sure. I can understand, because there's loads more enemies on the screen and all sorts. Yeah,
well, there's a lot. I guess there was a lot of value with this, because apparently it does make a big difference. They really change things up on the hard mode.
That's right. Yeah,
so you get a lot of bang for your buck with this, and it's such a shame it didn't really sell that well. That's why most people didn't. You never heard of it, and a lot of people have never sort of like heard of it. It's quite sad at the end. They're giving all like personal messages and things like that about about the game and to friends, and thanks for so and so for making the chili con carne. Usual thing. But one of the things is quite sad, and then I felt guilty being that I did have it pirated. It was just like saying, they were basically saying that they knew there was no money in making an Amiga game, but they just wanted to do it for the love of it.
Yeah.
It's really... but I think they're really solid game. Interesting control style, not for everyone. But if you just battle through it, give it time to learn it. Yeah. I think there's a lot to love here.
Yeah, I mean, if you like your platforms, if you like Rastan, you're going to love this, really, aren't you? Because it's Rastan Plus, isn't it? I'd say.
Yeah, I would say that's a really good call out with that.
Yep.
So that's our first game. Any more you want to say about that?
No, I think we got that covered, mate. Yep.
I think we got it covered. So, the important question to ask you then, Rick: are you going to copy that floppy? Am I vilified or redeemed?
I'll tell you what, I'm going to say yes, because of I think with younger eyes, I probably would have got on with this a lot better than I do today. But I think back in the day, I'd have had this, because this kind of, also in terms of Amiga games, like sort of platformy type games like this, I had a lot of time for Assassin Special Edition, and I know it's a completely different sort of setting and that, but it gives me that Team 17 sort of quality vibe, and all. It's the sort of game I would have gone, oh, that intro's wicked, and whatever else. I would have really enjoyed it back in the day for sure.
I mean, I do agree with you. I just wish it was more intuitive.
Yeah.
What it should have done is it should have let you do the fire button, and then it would do the attack that makes most sense.
Yeah.
For what you're doing at the time, but give you the ability to also press down if you want to do a specific attack.
Yeah.
I think that's the problem, is when you press fire and forget to do a movement, he just does that thing where he like scratches his back or whatever. Like, I guess he's getting the sword. I didn't want you to do that.
Do you know what I think it might have just saved the game in that respect, is if you held the button down and he sort of blocked. So if something attacked him, it deflected him or something.
That would have been good. Yeah.
Just something like that. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm like you. I'm a Rastan lover, and it's very difficult to sort of change your brain. Right. Anyway, should we go on to our second game?
Yeah, let's do it, mate.
So the next game is Apocalypse, released in 1994. It's basically a love letter to Choplifter. But again, I'm realising I'm a bit of a graphics whore, aren't I? Because all my games have pretty graphics. It's a really pretty game, but essentially Choplifter. For those who don't know what Choplifter is, if you've been living under a rock, it's essentially you fly around the levels, you rescue people, shoot the enemies, and you get back to your base. this has an additional thing which is really rather cool as well, although it makes you feel bad, is if you accidentally shoot the prisoners, because sometimes you release like the characters, don't you? Like you release the enemy as well as the prisoners.
That's right, yeah.
And then it's really difficult to shoot the enemy without shooting your guys. And if you injure them, rather than just kill them, they lie screaming in agony, and you have to fly back to the hospital hut, pick up some guys on the stretcher, you know, nurses and doctors in the stretcher, and like mash it across to rescue them, which I thought was a lovely touch as well. Yeah, so I loved this back in the day. It's another one that people don't seem to talk about at all. I don't ever hear anyone talk about it. So I'm going to go to you. What did you think with this one?
Yeah, this is, like you say, it's got the sort of, what would you call it? Like a multi-layer or multi-level sort of a choplifter arrangement, hasn't it? Where you've almost got these features on the level. Like the first level, you've got that huge, great gun. Like when I first spawned and started flying around, I just got killed instantly by this.
Yeah, you got to take him out first.
This huge cannon. So so to a certain degree, the levels are a little bit puzzly in that respect. Like you have to sort of, there is an order that will help you get the level done faster and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's got a very nice graphical style, not too much wizardry going on, but it's got, like, when you lift up and start flying out up into the air, you've got this really cool sort of mist effect that just gives it a really eerie sort of, you know, apocalyptic world, like almost Apocalypse Now.
Oh, it's definitely inspired.
Yeah, you know, with the smoke and that, and it's actually quite a short game. I was quite surprised how short it was. I thought it was going to be packed.
It's five levels, which was the reason it didn't review particularly well. Part of it was the imbalance. Like people felt it was like too difficult in places. You know, the kills, but also the shortness. Yeah, I mean that's always. I guess back in the day, again, I didn't buy this one, so it was. I guess I wasn't as upset as I would have been if I shelled out 25 quid, because it's a 25 quid game. Yeah. You know, it really should have been a budget for the length.
Yeah, $9.99 job. Yeah.
But it's a really good. I think it's. I mean, I love the graphics. I think they're so detailed. The sound effects are like really banging as well. Yeah. And it kind of reminds me a bit of, like, you know, with Walker, when you're like shooting the enemies, you feel like all powerful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like
all
the guys. And you're right. Every level though does have, like you mentioned, like the first one, you've got that big gun. The second one has like people in the. I can't think today. What do you call them? The turrets, isn't it?
The sort of the batteries or whatever you want to call them. Yeah.
But and you got to, and you do have to take. You can't just go flying around. You've got to take out. You've got to learn the level.
That's right.
And know, right, okay, there's tanks there. And one of the things that useful tip, because it took me a while to work it out, is you have to press space to change your weapon.
That's right. Yeah.
Which you can't do on modern emulators unless you press, like on RetroArch, you have to press the scroll key on the keyboard to make it game focus, because otherwise it fast forwards the game. Yeah,
because of the different bloody functions. Yeah, that's one of the problems with the Amiga emulation, isn't it? Because there's a lot of games that use different key configs, key binds and stuff. It throws you off.
And that's so important, because you've got, like, homing missiles, and you've got like mines and things like that. So without that information, it's like infinitely more harder if you're just trying to use your little pea shooter.
That's right, because you have practically got a pea shooter. It's only really good for killing the sort of geezers on the ground, isn't it? Mostly,
But I really like it. I think it's got a great variety to those like 5 levels. The third one's on a boat, and
that's right, like gun,
really nice.
Yeah, big ship, isn't it? Yeah.
And I've never seen a jungle so beautifully realised. I think it looks, considering it's just like a limited palette and greens, they've just you really feel there's a lot of depth to the jungle you're flying past.
That's right.
Yeah. Again, as I mentioned, I mean, interestingly, the people behind this was on graphic Paul Doherty. Now he's the guy who did Lure of the Temptress and Myth. There's one that you're
there you go.
a big fan of. And one of the coders, Jason Perkins, so he's a well-known name. I mean, on the C64 he did Thing on a Spring, the C64 port of the Nipper and all the and quite a few of the Monty games and Venger and things like that. But the one that we probably love him for, he did the coding on Rough and Tumble on the Amiga as well.
Ah, right, blimey.
Yeah, so you got a solid team here, and yeah, I mean, review wise, it was a sort of mixed bag. I mean, Amiga format gave it 86%, which is pretty solid.
That's decent, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's Amiga, even Amiga Power, which is like infamously grumpy, is like 80%. But you did get like the ones on the other side of the fence, like Amiga Computing gave it 66%. CU Amiga gave it 49%.
Oh, it's a bit harsh.
CVG gave it 39%.
Oh, blimey.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose it is a 94 game, isn't it? If I'm not mistaken.
It's 94.
Yeah.
So it came late, and the thing is like when you read the complaints, they're basically saying slightly unbalanced. I agree with that less. I mean, you have to learn to tackle the levels. I think
that's right. Yeah,
that's good, and it had to be that kind of thing, because if you could just like easily like Robocop your way through.
Yeah, it's not a straight up arcade game, is it? Yeah, there is a little bit more sort of nuance to it. Yeah, for sure.
And I've always loved that sort of choplifter mechanic where you rescue the geezers and you're like, oh, do I carry on or do I land? and they're in the bank then, because it's got this little icon of like how many you've rescued, how many people are injured. You got to like go out with the hospital, as I mentioned, but also how many people you've killed or died. And of course you have to get so many on the level alive, rescued, else you'll fail that level.
That's
you
right.
Have to do it again.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think there's a lot to love, and I always find it amazing. Loads of people don't know this one either. So I'm going to ask you actually: is this one that you knew before?
No, mate. No, this is one that I'd never tried.
2 for 2.
Yeah,
I'm
2
doing
for
well.
2. Yeah, well done.
I'm doing well. Yeah, and we come to that infamous question: am I being vilified or reviled? Reviled.
No, definite. I definitely would have had this one back in the day if I'd known about it. It is tough. It took me a while to work out how to change the missiles and everything. But once I learned how to do that, it come into its own really. Because I didn't even realise. I thought you just picked them up and then you equip whatever weapon you picked up, sort of thing. That's how I thought it was working.
Yeah. Which is why I loved in today, because I didn't have it back in the day.
Yeah.
Being able to read the manuals, because that's how I discovered it. And what we'll do in the show notes, I will put like the PDF scans that are on Amiga Whole for all these games, because you're right. Reading the manual really it's another level.
It certainly is.
Of feeling the nostalgia for the game. So it's really good. Is there any more you want to say about this one, or you?
I think just again, it's another one with a really nice sort of dark, moody intro, isn't it? Really nicely drawn intro, and that really gets you in the mood for the game. So yeah, it's a thumbs up, mate. Really, yeah, for sure.
Oh, cool. So 2 for 2. Am I hearing 2 for 2?
Yes, getting in there.
Oh wow, I'm doing well. Let's see if it will last. And this one might be a bit of a. I love it, but it might be a bit of a curveball. So I'll see what you thought of this one. And it is, of course, Giganoid, released in 1988 by Swiss Computer Arts, which I can't think of any other game that they did. I mean, I should have checked, really. But basically, what they did, I think, is it Denmark or something? Based on the names of the people behind it, Lars Bendrup did it. So I think it's a Dutch game rather than Swiss. Yeah, even though it's
Dutch
called
or
Swiss,
Danish, one of the two.
Yeah. It's not Swiss. And this is essentially an Arkanoid clone. But I'll be honest, this is actually outside of Arkanoid, the first one on the Amiga. Because to be honest, Arkanoid Revenge of Doe on the Amiga was terrible. I thought it was a real poor version.
I haven't played it for so long, but I seem to remember it's quite slow, isn't it? It's got bad frame rate and stuff.
Yeah, the first one's epic.
Yeah, it is.
The first one's such a solid port. But I would say actually Giganoid's probably my favourite bat and ball. I'm going to say it. Giganoid is my favourite bat and ball game on the Amiga.
Okay, you like it better than the Arkanoid game as well? Like the first one?
Just because it does the extras of Revenge of Doe. Yeah. It's got nice variety, and it's got slightly suspect collision detection going back at it with eyes today,
Yeah.
and it's got some weird mini bosses that come in, which annoy me.
Kind of
a little
demons
bit.
or
They're
whatever,
basically
yeah.
heads that firing, which is I don't want to do this. I want to break blocks.
I want to break out, mate.
But I thought it was really solid. I mean, it's one that actually I struggled a little bit, and I think it's because modern you kind of need the Amiga mouse.
Yeah, a certain sensitivity
really
level that you need, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, perhaps it was a little bit too sensitive. So I'm unfortunately I didn't get time because, since Mira's come along, my Amiga's been boxed away, my real Amiga. So I didn't get a chance, unfortunately, to try it on a real Amiga mouse. And I particularly loved it back in the day. Yeah, so I'm gonna put it to you. What do you think of this one?
Yeah, I do like it, mate. I think it's a very good clone of Arkanoid. I think one thing I do appreciate about Arkanoid is the genius of the sound effects, because this uses kind of, I wouldn't say realistic, but maybe the sort of sound effects you'd expected Arkanoid to have, if you get what if that makes sense.
Well, it's got sounds, and it's also got the sound samples of like you ready?
The voice samples and stuff. Cool. Yeah, so it's definitely it's got a European Amiga vibe, hasn't it? In that side of it, like some of the levels are kind of cool. Like the second level's a floppy disk, isn't it? Which I found quite amusing. Yeah. But like you say, it's got all the sort of we wouldn't call them tropes, would you? But it's got all the sort of gameplay elements, hasn't it?
It's a total Arkanoid.
Yeah, the warps, the lot.
But then when it's done this well, I mean, it's all
enlarging the paddle.
All the same
pickups and
bonus
stuff,
things. You get the pickups. I mean, it does go blisteringly.
It does
fast.
go pretty fast sometimes.
Yeah. You definitely have to pick up those
slow down tokens.
When you can. It thankfully doesn't have any enemies on it, because I always hated that with Arkanoid. You know, when you get the last minute
rush,
enemy or whatever.
Yeah, the life killer.
Where it like ricochet last minute and it's like off an enemy. Thankfully, you don't get that. The levels are brutal. I mean, I was quite surprised actually doing a little research with this one, because I thought it was one that I loved back in the day. You know, it's always been a fan of it, but I thought it was just me. And I noticed that Kim from Lemon Amiga. He's a huge fan of. Of it, and also Zeus. The one that does all the.
Oh yeah, the one he always has a real Amiga uploads, doesn't he? Yeah.
He's a huge fan of it. I mean, he does a brilliant. Again, I'll put it in the show notes. Like long play, far further than I could get. I'll go on it going back. And I mean, God, he's so good at games. I always feel ashamed. When I watch
he's
him
proper nailed this one, isn't he?
Every game. I mean, he truly finishes it. I was desperately looking for a cheat, and I couldn't find one that worked. Yeah. I was gutted, and there was no trainer. I was quite surprised that this game.
That would have been handy, wouldn't it? Have a few more lives and stuff. Yeah.
But and maybe that's why I fell in love with this as a kid, because it was a really solid one, and maybe because I couldn't be a cheating bastard, it kept me going.
Just wanted to get a little bit further.
It's got the right numbers, the right amount of levels. I think it doesn't outstay its welcome like Batty or something like that, where there's just too many levels. There's only I don't know, is there about 20 or 17? I can't remember. There's about 17.
It's hard to count because of all the different bosses and stuff, isn't it? Yeah.
But I mean, so again, first question: was this new to you?
I don't think I'd played it before, but I had heard of it because I was when I was researching for the different. For the last episode, I was looking at some hidden gem type. What could be a hidden gem? Maybe I think the other one, I can't remember if it was Mega Ball or something like that. It was another PD.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was a PD one. That's a good one. Yeah.
No, I'd never heard of it really, like in terms of like back in the day, or played it. If you know what I mean? No.
Well, as I say, there was. I mean, of course, what was wonderful, wasn't it? Back in the day, was like having a mouse was quite a novelty.
Yeah, it certainly was.
Yeah, and so it just made these games so
much more playable, weren't they?
To play. So much more playable that I've never been able to play on a joystick. Like like if you try other like consoles or anything, I just never.
Oh,
can do
but
it.
you know what? I wish
Has to be.
someone, someone must be able to do it. Someone who can write bloody machine code or something. It'd be great to plug in one of those Atari dials, from the 2600, because that would fit in an Amiga, wouldn't it? And surely someone could hack the game and make the mouse work as a dial. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. I do. Mind you, I haven't said that. Like when we go to Arcade Club, and because they've obviously got Arkanoid Revenge of Day there, haven't they? And I can't play it on the arcade. I just can't. I'm so used to the mouse. I can't do it.
It's a different philosophy, isn't it, when you're playing it? Yeah, with a dial or the mouse or a bloody joystick.
Yeah.
They're terrible on a joystick. But, yeah.
But I'm going to struggle with the name again. But the guy who did the graphics to this was Torben Bakkeger Larsen.
Bakkeger Larsen.
Torben Bakkeger Larsen.
Yeah.
Now he's the guy who did the graphics to Hybris. Do you remember that shooter? Solid shooter.
Oh yes.
Yeah, Battle Squadron on the Amiga.
Okay.
And on PC did Hugo. Do you know the hand drawn?
Oh, I don't think I know about that one, mate. I don't think I've seen that one.
It's not a very good game.
Graphically, it's nice.
It's very impressive. It's a bit like it's got a weird sort of like cute troll type thing, and then you or Hobbit type character, and you literally, like, it's Twitch gameplay. It's like Dragon's Lair or something like that. Yeah. But yeah, that's the people behind it. So, to be honest, it reviewed pretty poorly back in the day. It got Games Machine gave it 61%, CVG gave it 70%.
That's respectable.
Ace gave it 67%. Yeah, it's average, average, I guess. But yeah, no, for me personally, I think it's a really good, solid, admittedly tough game. And probably it is my favourite bat and ball. Going back to it, I did find though that I don't know whether it was just the mouse controls or whether it was my memories, but there was a lot of times when I'm convinced it should have hit the bat, and it didn't. Yeah. The collision detection was a bit.
I think the problem with this game is that you can't hit it with the side of the bat on this one. You can only hit it with the sort of like just on the corner. So if the ball's gone past a certain level, but you do feel like you've got the bat there, it misses. It misses. I think a bit more robust in Arkanoid. I think you can hit it with the side of the bat more, if I'm not mistaken. Now, yeah.
But I think I'm just like I'm just sour grapes, because I watched Zeus play it on the long play. He had no problems. He was like moving a mess. So I think it's me really. So you're not sure whether you played it back in the day?
No, they definitely didn't. No.
Yeah. So the question is, it's only on a disc. Would you be upset with this one back in the day, or have I got a 3 for 3?
Difficult to say, because I think like with those reviews, I think that I can't quite work it out, because what you've got essentially is a not an arcade perfect, but a pretty much spot on, execution of an Arkanoid type game. But I think it was 1988 when it came out, wasn't it? So it was quite early, so to speak. I just think that maybe because in sort of 1988 people were looking for big sort of contemporary arcade classics, people,
to be honest, that's the complaint, is that they're like, oh, it's totally unoriginal, it's just a breakout game, or it's just like Arkanoid, where's the newness? Yeah. Which you understand, like, people have shelled out a hell of a lot of money on a 16-bit Amiga at the time. Yeah. And I guess they were looking for the next big leap in gaming. And this was a throwback.
It's a step back,
as I think we can say, we like throwbacks.
We certainly do.
In RGDS. So
in all fairness, I think I do remember sitting there playing Arkanoid a lot on the Amiga, because it was so intuitive with the mouse and everything. It just worked really well. So I think if I saw this, I'd have gone, oh, this is nice. Yeah, it's a bit more Arkanoid, isn't it? So I can't see why I wouldn't pick this one up back in the day.
And you got the drum kit sound every time it hits the battle ball, isn't it? It's nice, cool stuff. Right, okay, so should we go on to our next game? So that's 3 for 3. I'm doing well here. Doing well. Okay, so the next game I've chosen, and admittedly we've covered it before many moons ago, but I will sing this from the rafters until everybody plays it because I love it. It is Woody's World, released in 1993 by Acid Software and developer Vision. And essentially, how do you describe it? You play Woody as an elf, and you have to go through 60 levels. I mean, that's something they proudly say is that it's the biggest platform game on the Amiga.
It's bloody big, yeah.
It is bloody big. Yes, that's quite impressive. And 6 worlds worth of those 60 levels. So loads of variety. And essentially, you've got like a Mario type game, isn't it? Mario 3 type game, where you platformer, you jump around the levels, it's all pretty generic in that way. You collect your coins, and if you get like 100 you get an extra life. One of the things you do get, which is rather, and you can get to the end of the level, isn't it, as well, depending on what you collect. But one of the things that's really important with it is if there's power-ups along the way. So if you get the power-up which is like a scepter, then you become a prince, and that gives you slightly better jumping ability and straighter firing stars. Because the other power up, of course, is just a star, which lets you, it's like the flower, the fire flower in it gives you basically like a star that you can.
That's
fire.
right. Yep.
But as you get more powerful with like the prince, it's a straighter shot. And then if you get the king power up, which is like the crown symbol, then that basically gives you like a even better jump. And that's important because it lets you get to places you couldn't get to before to get extra bonuses. And it gives you a straighter shot. I think there's loads of varieties. I personally think, I'm going to say it there, this is probably after RoboCard my second favourite platform game on the Amiga. Yeah. And I love Fire and Ice. Depending on which day you ask me, Fire and Ice might be the number 2 there. But I really, really love this. And this is another one that I never hear anybody else apart from me talking about it ad nauseum. I don't hear anybody ever shout it out, and I think it's a really solid for the Amiga. I mean, it against like your consoles, it's not going to hold a candle to a lot of them, but for the Amiga and the home computers, I think it's genuinely one of the best platform games. So, first question, is this one new to you? Or?
No, we did when you covered it before. We covered it on an old Amiga compilation episode. I think it might have been the first Amiga. Yeah. Sorry, the first episode I was on, or the second episode I was on RGDS.
I guessed it would be King.
Yeah. It was about the same time. We both joined quite similar, didn't we? Quite similar time.
Yeah. But I knew we covered it before, but I was like, you know what, I want to shout it out again.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So what did you think of it then?
Yeah, this is.
But back in the day, you never played.
No, I never played it back in the day. No, not at all.
So another one that you hadn't discovered. No. That's good.
So I mean, this is a sweet spot for the Amiga game, isn't it? This is right on the sort of when a lot of good quality games were coming out on the system. And this gives me, like you say, Mario vibes and Addams Family vibes as well.
Yeah. That's a good one,
it's got a lot of really nice graphics in it. The levels and the colours that are used. It's got a real cool sort of, how would you put it? It's like it's got an arcade vibe to it. That's you could have seen this on some arcade hardware. It's got that kind of quality to the graphics, hasn't it? Lots of varied levels. The jumping mechanic works really nice, which is always what you want in a platforming game, isn't it?
Yeah.
And lots of secret little areas for you to find, like the first level, you jump up that first sort of elevator shaft, so to speak. I'll call it an elevator shaft when you've got sort of like a big tube to jump up, and you jump between. You got a hidden door, and then. It's funny because when you're inside the hidden area and you're picking up all the coins, if you're crafty, there's another hidden wall to jump through, and there's more coins over there and things like that. I think I managed to get up to the cloud world where you've got that inertia from the wind pushing you and stuff. So it's got some sort of level specific mechanics in there as well, which adds to some of the challenge. I think it's a solid game, mate. I think I remember playing RoboCod a lot back in the early days of when I got my Amiga. But I think because I'm not a massive platform fan, I didn't play it probably as much as you did. But it'd be difficult for me if I booted them all up now. Say Woody's World, RoboCod, and Fire and Ice. I probably wouldn't be able to pick between them that easily. It's in that. I think it's in that class. I find it weird how I've not heard of it before. Don't remember seeing it in a magazine or anything like that, because I used to get quite a lot of Amiga magazines back in the day and stuff.
Yeah, but this is the thing is, and this is why, even though I mentioned it before, I wanted to mention it again. Is it's so weird because it did get reviewed quite heavily back in the day, but nobody remembers it. It reviewed quite well. I mean, Amiga Computing gave it 92%, CU Amiga 86%, Amiga Format 84%. The One gave it 79%. So all in the your 80 bracket really. Probably the lowest was of the main magazines was Amiga Power 70%. But again, they were really their complaint wasn't that it was a bad game. It was generic and it wasn't doing anything new. That was what they were sort of complaining, which I think I think that's true if you've got a console back in the day. But there were 10 a penny these sort of games, but there wasn't
before, was there? No.
Yeah, there wasn't this level of sheen put on an Amiga platform game back in the day. There were very few. I mean, one of the things I loved is you were saying that you got to the win level. Of course, depending on which level you do, you can make your own path, so you can go through to any castle you want.
Yeah.
So I used to love that back in the day, because it was like you were still getting your money's worth, quote unquote, because you were if you were stuck on one level, you could just go another direction and at least see that level and enjoy that level. So which I love that with Mario does it, and because it doesn't, that non-linear really helps.
It does, because you can see different parts of the game, can't you?
Yeah.
I've just picked a sort of set path on my playthrough, so I didn't think to go and try some other levels, but because it's limited time, isn't it? Trying to squeeze in.
Yeah, I mean, this is quite a huge.
It's about a 2-hour game, this, if you know what you're doing, so it's quite big.
Yeah.
A lot of bang for your buck.
Yeah, and it's one that I'm always looking out for. So even though you're paying for a box, aren't you? In the memories, there's a number of Amiga games that I really want to physically own.
Yeah,
because of the memories. So my
sure.
dream is ever got like a gaming room finally, and I'm going the wrong direction. There's more people are coming along, and I'm losing
less room.
Yeah. But my dream would be to have my truly favourite Amiga games special to me, all in their boxes.
Yeah.
And this is one that I'm always. I've actually got it as a sort of like a search on eBay.
Sure. Yeah, it pops up. Yeah.
But it has come up a couple of times, but it's always come up as like a bundle with all these other games, and it's like 200 quid or something, and I'm like, I can't
be bothered to buy it just to sell them all again.
Yeah. The one thing I will say, Paul Andrews is the guy who did the programming. He did probably better known for PD games, so better known for public domain. Zombie Apocalypse 1 and 2. Do you remember that PD game, the little shooter?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and he did Cybernetics, which was actually an ST game as well. That was well, but of course, when after this, when he went on to do Seek and Destroy, which is a good little overhead sort of shooter in a helicopter.
Oh, that sounds familiar, actually. Yeah.
And Roadkill, which we've definitely covered before. Remember
that's the overhead one. Yeah, the really
probably was the same episode we covered Woody's World last.
No, actually, that was the first Amiga. That was the first X-Copy episode.
Yeah. Yeah, so really solid. And the guy who did the graphics did all those games as well. And also it's Rodney Smith, and he did Skid Marks as well.
Oh, that's another classic. I love that one. It's one of my favourites.
And Blair Zupicic. I don't know how to say his name.
Zupicic,
yeah. He did the music. And that's one thing I will say with this, actually. Musically, it's very console like. The amount of music that they've squeezed into this game, every world has its own music, and it's really good music.
Really well done, isn't it? Yeah.
Which, you know, again, is you don't always get. Usually you get one tune, you know.
That's right,
and it will repeat. So to have this many levels with different tunes is pretty awesome.
Yeah, a lot of love gone into it, I think.
Yeah. Any more you want to say with Woody's World, or I mean, what did you think of it? What did you?
I liked it, mate. Yeah, I think it. You know, the mechanics are good. It feels solid. I did play it on my arcade stick just to see what it felt like with that, and it was I mapped up to a different button and just took up off the bloody off the joystick just to make it feel more arcadey. And I was enjoying romping through it, actually. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, I must admit, I did the same with because I've got the arcade stick that Charlie, my mate, you know, you've met him at Arcade Club. And
yeah, Arcade Club, the wireless one you got
the wireless one, he got me for Christmas. Yeah. I was using that for all the Amiga games and stuff, because these games were designed to be on joystick, really, weren't they? Yeah. You realise it's not quite the same when you're trying to do it on a control panel. So sometimes it works, but usually it doesn't.
Yeah.
So the question is you know, have I got 4 for 4, or is it another?
Yeah, we're going to go 4 for 4. It's only 3 discs, this one, so you know my 10 pack's doing all right.
Yeah, doing all right. I think with LionHeart, you've probably switched over a 10, but I think you're getting your bang for your buck.
Definitely. Oh no, we're on 11 now, aren't we? Yeah, we've just gone over. Yeah, just gone over. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So we go on to the next game then.
Yes, mate. Let's do it.
So this is our penultimate game. My word, we're getting through these nice and
swiftly, steamy for it. Yeah.
It is Shufflepuck Cafe, released in 1988. It's made by Brudabun Software. It was also part of the 10 pack, the Silica 10 pack, wasn't it? Which was where I certainly discovered it. So a lot of people, I think, who got the Amiga early on would have played this because it was part of the packing. But what is it? It's basically a really good air hockey style game, but set in a space bar. So, you know, you got your, like, you know, the Katina band sort of playing, you know, all the aliens, and there's and there's a eclectic range of like characters, 9 other opponents. And it's a really chill game in a lot of ways, because you could either like play any of the opponents, you just walk up to one of them and then say, do you fancy a game? Or you can play the tournament and then try and play them all and eventually beat the current winner, the reigning champion of Biff Raunch. Now, as I say, it's really good because it uses the mouse controls, so it's very intuitive. And I think everybody knows with air hockey, but basically it's like a 3D version of Pong, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
And you're looking at one side, they're looking at the other. It's sort of
first person perspective, isn't it?
Perspective. Yeah. And you got your paddle, and you just like you know, hit the puck, and then try and smash the glass. But what's really good is there's such a wide range of these characters. They do everything. And I'll mention a little bit who they are, but they do everything from like, you know, completely random to like cheating with psychic energy and like moving the you know, some of the later ones. And I'll go through them all, but before we do, I mean, first question is this game new to you, or was it?
Yeah, this is a new one to me, mate.
Really? Because I guess because of the 10-pack, I just assumed a lot of people play. But yeah, of course, if you came to the Amiga later, you would have probably missed out on it.
Yeah, I think I must have got my Amiga. I'd imagine in late 91 or sometime in 92, I think. And of course, I got it second hand, so I didn't get a bundle or anything. It just came with a few floppy
well, to be honest, I guess the only reason I know the 10-star bundle was because my friend that made me, it took me 3 years to save up to get the Amiga myself. That was a pack that they had, and by the time I got my Amiga, he was gonna. I mean, he was a spoiled brat, really. He was going to chuck away the 10-pack games because he was like bored of them. So he gave them to me. So I had them then.
Days.
Yeah, and I was over the moon because it had like Buggy Boy and like many of my favourites.
Barbarian was in there, wasn't it?
Yeah. Barbarian, yeah. And this was one of them. So really, really good. So I'm going to ask you then. I mean, do you want to give your thoughts on it coming in at fresh? So obviously I have all the memories of it.
Yeah, I think, like you say, it is air hockey, isn't it? And you've got a nice little range of characters to fight against, and they've all got their sort of, their little nuances. There's like I can't remember what the character's called now, but he's like the nervous one who's just like rattling the thing all over the bloody.
There's two, isn't it? Because you've got Visine Orb is the one you can barely see over the top.
That's right, yeah.
I'll mention them quickly just for people. So you've got DC3 also, which is the robot.
That's right.
And he's like the easiest to beat. He's just like a training robot, really.
Training bot, yeah.
Yeah. Then you get Skip Feeney, and he's like a human that's just been like grabbed from the laundry out, like the local laundry outfit, and he's like the easiest to play. Very cautious player, isn't he? And then you got Visine Orb, which is the one you're talking about, which is the one can barely look over the top.
Yeah, he's really erratic. Yeah.
And he just like basically just keeps, because he can't see, he's just like shaking the the paddle, and yet annoyingly he somehow seems to often get points.
Gets lucky, yeah.
Then you get Vinny the Dweeb, which is I don't know what you call him. He's not the one. He's got like a real rumpled face. Yeah, kind of like Walter Matthau alien. And he's like a physics major, Vinny the Dweeb. So he's quite accurate with his shots. He knows how to do ricochets. Then you got my favourite character. You got Lexon Smythe Worthington, who's this really posh tuxedo wearing lizard, but he's a really good player. But the thing is that he drinks every time he loses. So by the end of the game, he's half blasted. So you have a chance to beat him and get him. Then you got the general, who's like a pig. He's the one that you'll see on the cover, the main one. So he's really quite a difficult player to beat. Then you got Neural Totoli, and that's sort of just like a shadow. You can't really see. Also a very good player. Then you got Princess Benjin. She's the one that's she's the babe on the front. When I put the cover, they were like, "Who's the babe on the cover?" Princess Benjin, and she's psychic, so she's the one that will cheat. So the puck will be going one way. She'll put her hand up, and it's going to go another direction.
Yeah.
And that she's really difficult to beat. And then finally, the most difficult to beat is Biff Franch. He's president of like the Outlaws or whatever, and he's just really. I'll be honest, I've never actually been able to beat Biff Franch. I've tried. I have to watch Zeus, who's probably did it in one sitting, but for me, I can't beat Biff Franch. And I've looked. There's no real cheats to the game, not on the tournament. One of the nice things, if you play like the practice games, choosing any of them, you can get that. You might not have realised, but if you go to the top, you can bring down a menu and you can choose like not just to play another opponent, but you can choose how big to make your paddle or how small to make your paddle, even putting like blockers in the middle, so like things to like to make the game more interesting.
Yeah.
So sorry, I just wanted to say all the.
No, that's fine, mate.
Yeah, so I mean, coming at it sort of fresh, what do you think about it, matey?
Yeah, I think I like it, mate. I think maybe today it's a bit too one-dimensional for me, if that makes sense. I think something like Arkanoid, or Giganoid, sorry. Although that's sort of in a similar vein, it's got more variety with the levels. I think if you really like space hockey, you'll get on with it. I think back in the day I probably would have really liked it. I just think today it fell a little bit flat for me. But I do, I didn't dislike it or anything. I just it's just not something I'd play regularly or anything like that, if that made sense.
I guess it was just sort of coming in. One of the things I will say actually, because I was mixing in my head. So there were two packs in the early days of the Amiga. There was a Silica pack, which I mentioned with this one.
Yeah.
But that had Data Storm, Dungeon Quest, Emotion, Grand Monster Slam, Kid Gloves, Power Play, The Game of the Gods, RVF Honda, Shufflepuck Cafe, this one, Microprose Soccer, and Tower of Babel. But the other one, which I much preferred, and he had both, and he gave them to me, was the 10-star bundle. That was the one that had like your Thundercats and Barbarian and all of those. Yeah. So just in case people rightly point out to me, I got there first. So yeah, no, I totally take on what you're saying. And in fact, actually, that was what some of the complaints, because this is another one that had a whole wide range of reviews. So, Zero gave it 83%, CBG 80%, Amiga Action 74, 72 CU Amiga, but Amiga Format, which was when it was first released, only gave it 49%. And they're saying exactly what you're saying, is that it's really well done, but there's not a lot to it.
It gets a bit,
So I guess for me, I've always been a sci-fi fan. So I love that idea of like walking into a space bar. And again, because it was part of the bundle, and I know, but I got it for free, but because it was part of a 10-star bundle, I think it's not worth 20 quid, what it was originally released. But part of a bundle or on a budget release, I think it's just something unique, isn't it?
Something for you to play there. I mean, I think on a bundle, it would have harked back to those old days when you got the 8-bit bundles, the packs or whatever. And you play a bit of one game and enjoy it, and you think, right, okay, I've got a little bit tired. It's getting a little bit tired now. I'll thrash something else on, and it works in that perspective. Just like maybe like a 15, 20, 30 minute max sort of play through, and then you move on to something else. But I don't know, I think back in the day I probably would have really enjoyed it, but just for me today it's just, I think it's lacking. I think what it's lacking, although I ain't got no other bugger to play it with anyway, it would have been great to have had a 2-player mode. I don't know whether that would have been possible, but that would have been awesome.
I guess then you would have had the difficulty like with the tennis games, isn't it? The person furthest away would struggle a bit. I'll tell you what is, because this is probably better known as a Macintosh game.
Oh, okay.
But it's black and white on the Macintosh. It's a real shock, when you played the Amiga one, because they just look really weird, the characters, and it's like all line drawn. So, from that point of view, I think the Amiga, the one is really, really solid. It's a unique game. That's why I wanted to include it here.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely.
But am I breaking my lucky streak here on the 5th one? Is it?
No, because I think I'm doing this in terms of like back in the day. Would I have bunged it on a floppy? And I think
it's only one disc. Only one disc.
That's what I mean. It's only a 1-disc game, and if it was if you sat there and played it with your mate round his house, you'd have gone, oh bugger that, I'll quickly bung that, I'll copy that, definitely. Because back in the day, it would have grabbed me as well. But it just, like I said, I just think for today's eyes, it's a little bit one-dimensional. But back then I would have snapped this up for sure.
I mean, and to be honest, even back in the day, it was very much, this was one where you'd put it on, and it's like how I played it like this time. It's just like a very chill game.
Yeah.
And it's just, fun. I mean, and then you're like, I was screaming blue murder because it's so easy to like miss it and then hit, just like I do with air hockey. Hit the back of the bat and knock
then
it
score
into
yourself.
score
Yeah,
yourself.
the physics are very good in that respect. Yeah, for sure.
So I had a lot of fun going with it. But that's good. So it is 5 for 5. You're being very generous here. I'm feeling guilty. I was giving you a hard time, wasn't I? With that? So, your choices.
I don't think you.
No, I did actually come to love them all. Actually, I did come.
That's good then. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, it's a bit like Stockholm syndrome. By the time I got to the end,
I think the only you were seeing things on my level. Yeah, no, I think I'd agree with you on Alpha Waves. That was a bit of a that was a well out of left field choice. But I think the rest of them you did have some sort of lightness for, didn't you? Didn't enjoy.
Well, I was really impressed. I mean, because I wouldn't say pride myself, but I've played a lot because of the situation of growing up and having access to lots of games. I played a hell of a lot of Amiga games.
Yeah.
So the fact that you chose games, there was a good few that I never played before. That was really, really impressive.
Yeah, that was.
So, really, really good. Awesome. Okay, so shall we go on to our final game?
Okay, mate.
Will I survive to the final game and give 6 for 6? Right, okay, so this is Crazy Cars 3. This came out in 1992 originally, so I'm going to give you a little bit of the history. So it came out in 1992, and it is the same as the re-release game that came out in 1994 of Lamborghini American Challenge. Although on the Lamborghini American Challenge, which even made it to, I think, console as well, they stuck in a 2-player version.
Yes, okay, yeah.
But the story with it is, the reason that there's 2 versions, well, one, I think it was like stupid to call it Crazy Cars 3 when the first 2 were so terrible. It was only a demo, and this was like getting it on, like, whether I used a floppy disk or not. It was only like on one of the magazines, they had a really good demo, whether it was on Amiga Power or whatever like that, of like a whole level that made me really, really want this game. Otherwise, I would have thought, well, Crazy Cars 1 are absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
And 2's absolutely terrible. Why would I look at 3? So it's a stupid name, but the big reason was it's quite a rare game to find Crazy Cars 3, because Palace, Palace who made Barbarian and things like that, they went bankrupt. They were the publishers, and they went bankrupt. So although Titus developed, there was no real proper advertising, and it just died a death. So sales were terrible. So in 1994, Titus rebought the rights back, and they slapped the Lamborghini license on it and called it a Lamborghini American Challenge. But essentially, this is like Lotus or Jaguar.
XJ, yeah.
But it's got a lot of clever things with this. I think it's got betting before the racing, which I always thought was cool as a kid.
Yeah,
so
a bit road rash
with the other
in
racers.
it.
You got police chases and things like that, and it will say you're like wanted man kind of thing as you're driving, isn't it? A fender comes above.
That's right, yeah.
Comes above, and basically you've got like stars all over which are the tracks all over America, and you pay to enter like a race, and then you've got the betting. So you get a real good sense of progression, and there's lots of variety to the tracks and weather condition depending on where you go in America. I mean, it really feels, one side of America feels completely different to the other.
You get a bit of outrun levels in there, don't you, and things like that. Yeah.
And one of the things, again, you having to use a scroll lock or It's probably better actually today to play it on the CD32 version for Lamborghini American Challenge, because the second button for boost, like the nitro, when you pick up nitro, is on a second button. Otherwise, you have to hit the return key, like the enter key on the Amiga, and that's like real pain. And there's a lot to play here. There's 4 divisions, and what's cool is not only do you have to save up the money, but when you get to the next division, there's more toys that you can buy. And one of the coolest things is that if you get to level 4, there's like night vision glasses, which I thought was, I thought was so cool as a kid. And the last thing I'll say with it before asking you about it is, I don't know if you ever played 80s Overdrive, but it's a modern indie game which is really good. It's on all the consoles, and it's a total love letter to this game. It's you'll see right from the stars and all over America. You can see it's like this is the game that inspired that indie game.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether you ever played.
I can't remember. Is it a standalone game, or is it part of a group of games?
No, it's a standalone game. It's like you can buy it on the Xbox. And
no, I don't think I have seen it then, mate.
Yeah, no. It's a really good pixel drawn indie game. Usually in a sale, you can only pick it up for a couple of quid. So well worth. It's got amazing soundtrack.
I think I may have seen an advert. Yeah, I think I may have seen an advert, because I'm getting it mixed up with that 19XX. It's got that racing car level in it. That's where I'm getting, because I swear I have seen that.
That's really good. That's like small vignettes of different genres, isn't it? So you not proper games.
Yeah, built into an overarching story.
Which is really frustrating, because like the games that they have in that 19XX, they're like better than a lot of indie games, and you're like, give me more levels. I want more levels. Yeah. So the first question is Crazy Cars 3 or Lamborghini American Challenge new to you or not?
It's not. This is one that I did play, not back in the day, actually. Admittedly, I did play this sort of, I don't know, sometime in the last 10 years, and I played the American Lamborghini Challenge, and I mean, I got those. I'd say it's hard to say. It kind of feels like Lotus, but not, and it's got that XJ220 vibe to it as well. I think I do like it for what it is, that sort of outrun style behind the car sort of racing game. It's definitely got it's got a lot of influences, really, hasn't it? Because it's sort of mishmashing sort of Outrun, Chase HQ, and probably loads of lore from Cannonball Run. Like the night vision goggles is definitely something they would have sort of harked back to with the 2 Japanese characters in the first film, isn't it? Where they got that it's a Subaru, isn't it? They're driving. They got this turns into a submarine and all that stuff. They got the night vision goggles driving down.
I need to watch them again. They're
banging. I love those films. I love all them Burt Reynolds films from back in the day. They're so funny. All the outtakes on really the end as well. But I like this one, mate. I think it was definitely a good idea to re-release it. Unfortunately, it would have been better if they re-released it pretty quickly and got that 2-player mode in, because it probably would have done better, I think. But like you say, just all the sort of the sort of progression, the different races across the map, the upgrades. I just wish that there wasn't so much traffic on the road. That kind of does get a little bit annoying. And I wish all the different personalities in the game drove different cars. Like they're a bit more customized.
Difficult to know, because you finally overtake someone and you're like, oh, why's the position?
Which one was that?
The position? So it will tell you rivals, won't it? It will show you with like rivals of particularly if you, because there's like the scanner, isn't it? But I think that's just for the police. But whether that's the thing so I always buy that first off, so I don't know whether that tells you the rivals, because it will say rival above it. But you're right, it is frustrating.
That's right,
when you're overtaking all these cars and you're like, well, how come? Where is where is that the next position? It's so frustrating. But I think I just think it's a really exciting game. I mean, I loved it back in the day because it was. Whilst I love Lotus and and that and Jaguar. But if I'm honest, probably for those games, a lot of it is the music, particularly with Jaguar.
Yeah, for sure.
220, the in-game music.
Yeah, core, isn't it? Yeah, really good.
But I thought that there was just so many good ideas with this one, where it just, I love that sense of progression. I mean, the only thing that's really bad, and one of the things they fixed in the indie love letter to this, is it's really easy to run out of money. And the items that you need to get, like the 5 automatic gear stick, which will give you extra speed, which is really, really important. It costs an absolute fortune. You've had to have played so many tracks to even be able to afford it. And one of the things that actually the 80s Overdrive gets sorts, because in this, if you run out of money, if you get a bit cocky and do a bet loads of money and then lose the race because of last minute crash, it's game over. It just says game over. You run out of money. Yeah, you're done. What 80s Overdrive, which I think is quite cute. If you run out of money on the indie game, you basically can clean the other cars. So you move your hand over it, and that gives you enough money after you've cleaned a few cars to then stay in the game and do the first the first level. So it's better balanced than that. I thought it was a real nice inclusion. I used to, I think there's real variety. And real sense of progression, far more than I think you get with Lotus or Jaguar. I do think I still love my Lotus and Jaguar. I think they're the better games, but this was a close third. I mean, I adored it.
It's got so many bells and whistles, hasn't it?
Definitely one of my favourite races on the Amiga. Yeah, and the 1992, because I did have the 1992 version,
the original one. Yeah.
You're right. In 1992, it was just after Jaguar. At that point, it meant a lot more. At that point, you're right. 1994 was a little bit late in the day. Although I haven't said that, playing the CD32 version, particularly having that nitro button where you don't have to hit the enter key and having it on a second button, really was nice. Really was nice.
Does it have any music playing whilst you
it wasn't race? Anything that blew me away. It does have music.
Nothing to write home about. Yeah, okay. I'll have to check it out. Yeah, give it a little watch. Because I kind of, to be fair, I kind of overlooked the CD32. I don't really sort of delve into that library much to see what differences they've put into sort of re-releases and stuff.
I mean, usually there wasn't. I mean, there's some where they, I mean, because we mentioned it earlier with Woody's World, Fire and Ice, the CD32 soundtrack is beautiful. It's the same music, but it's CD quality.
It's CD done up,
some of those are amazing. But you're right, most of them. And if it did have CD sound, because I actually own this on CD32. If it did have CD sound, it never particularly jumped out at me. Just the tunes.
Yeah, sure.
I'm probably totally wrong with that, but it never jumps out at me, the music anyway.
Well, there's one option to burn a disc with your own tunes on it, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. You can put your own tunes. Good idea of that. I mean, review-wise, it reviewed quite well back in the day. Amiga Format gave it 93. One Amiga gave it 90%. Amiga Power gave it 88%. So it reviewed well, but I remember distinctly with this game being really because I always had that sort of thing. If I really loved the game and I could find it, I would buy it. I would save up and buy it.
Yeah, sure.
This and Woody World, I was never able to buy, even though I loved the game and I wanted to buy it. It just weren't in the shops.
Couldn't find it.
Nowhere near me, at least. Interestingly, when it got to re-releasing, the One Amiga and things like that, because again, when you come to 94 time, it got pretty bad reviews, 69%, things like that. But I mean, I guess the question is, what's your take of this one? What do you think? Do you think this is one that you like or not?
Yeah, I'd go back to it again and give it another go to get a bit better at it. I think my only gripe with it is I think maybe it's too ambitious, but it just would have been nice if there was different cars to maybe buy or something. That's the only thing I think it's lacking.
Well,
that would have really added another dynamic to it.
You need to play 80s Overdrive because it's got all of that.
I'm
80s
gonna have to try
Overdrive is
that out
like
then.
a love letter and adding, and it's got a really good chiptune soundtrack. Really,
wicked,
really good.
wicked.
And
check
like
that
in
down,
sales, it literally is like £2.
Yeah, I'll go on Steam and add it to my wish list then and wait for it to drop.
I'm sure it's on Steam as
for
well.
sure.
It'd be on all of them.
Yeah,
So, no, really, really, really good. But yeah, you're right. I mean, there's a couple of life improvement things that would have been nice. I think the thing that I always struggle with, and it's probably my greed, is I always get too caught up in the betting.
That's
then I lose.
It's easy to slap a load of money down.
The other thing I would say if you do play Lamborghini American Challenge, the A500 is not really up for the 2-player. I mean, it works, but it's really slow.
Yeah, it's just slow.
It was, by that point in '94, it was designed for the 1200 or the CD32.
The AGA stuff. Yeah.
So I would say if you're coming at it fresh and you haven't got the memories like I do of Crazy Cars 3, I would do the CD32 version of a Lamborghini American
Challenge. Yeah,
cool. Right, okay, so this is another one that you would burn the disc. Are you saying I've made 6 for 6?
Yeah, I'll give you the full sweep,
that's
mate.
Awesome.
I'll give you the full
sweep.
No
returnsies. Yeah.
I can always overwrite them,
Yeah, once you're bored of it.
No.
Oh, that's cool. Cool. Well, is there any others you want to sort of like shout out then before we wrap things up for the day?
Oh, blimey. I haven't got any actually, mate. I didn't think of any.
No. Well, it's fine. We can save it for.
I've got some, but I just can't remember the names of them right now. Yeah. How about yourself? You got any others or?
No, well, I mean, there's always many others.
That's
isn't
the problem.
But it's we'll save them for future episodes. But I'm quite excited actually that the next thing that I'm planning to do after I finish the Amiga, the arcade best game of a letter.
Yeah.
Is I'm going to change the rules a bit rather than do per letter. I'm going to do what I've called a voyage of discovery, and I'm going to basically ask myself, go through every Amiga game and ask the question, is it like an honorable mention, or is it like what would I want it on my mythical game shelf of special ones to me, and basically doing blocks of 10. So volume 1 will be, I'll mention the first 10 games that I would want to own.
Yeah.
And then loads of honourable mentions, the ones that, if I saw it in a sale, I probably would want, but, it would be a secondary.
Oh, so it's going to be a curated list then? Yeah.
It's going to be a curated list.
Are you not going to do it alphabetically then? You're just going to do like
still
sort of random? Start A then, yeah, okay.
So literally work from, like, use an Amiga hole or something like that, halls of light, and just literally, when I reach the first game, it's like, okay, this is going to be number 1, and basically keep mentioning all the honourable mentions until I get to my 10th choice, and that'll be that video 1.
Yeah, got ya.
If that makes sense.
Makes sense.
The idea is I think it'd be a bit more balanced, because one of the things with the best game of a letter arcade edition that I did, it was good, but of course there was games.
Some letters are weaker than others.
Yeah. So I thought this is a bit more balanced.
Yeah, sure.
And you're not necessarily choosing a game because it's a weak letter, as you say, or missing out on some absolute classics because it's the letter S or R.
Yeah, or S or T, yeah.
I'm looking forward to doing that. But I'll just say to our listeners, please, as always, we're so thankful for you taking the time to listen. But, consider to join our Discord. It's a great group, actually. It's the only Discord that I find with other Discord chats, people are talking over each other and all trying to, whether this is like a real tight knit group of people, and they're all giving people tips and having laughs. So it's really, really good. And of course, what I love as well, people will give games on sale and things like that.
Yeah, we've got some good channels in there, haven't we, for different bits and pieces.
Yeah. So really, really good. And please, consider joining our YouTube channel. As I say, we're it's so difficult to get like noticed on YouTube
Yeah.
as I'm discovering. But
sometimes, you know, I know why people use, you know, they like to listen to the episode, but you know,
I totally get
I've
it.
sat down. It's hard to find the time to just sit down and listen and watch it, isn't it? But I think if you know, it does add quite a lot to the experience when you watch, because it's not just like random, is it? Like you really do sort of try to find, like when someone's talking about something specific, you show it on screen, and it helps to elevate the episode because you get a real visual representation as well. It does work really well, actually.
Yeah. Although that Christmas episode nearly killed me.
The
video edit. It's like every time somebody like mentioned like, oh, and there was this, I was like, oh no. But yeah, no, I certainly think, I mean, that's why I do it, is because I think it genuinely does elevate the episodes. So it's nice to have for that sake. But also, you know, like say the other videos that we're doing as well, and just nice, you know, like you know, I think it's nice to have it in one place. And likewise, I mean, we've had a couple where our listeners have done videos and things, and I think they realise how hard work it is to do a video, because they've not done another one. But yeah, I mean, people are more than welcome to like offer suggestions for them to do videos. You know, reach out to us first to make sure we're okay with the topics, so you don't waste time doing something that we're going to say, oh, sorry, we won't upload it. But as long as it's retro themed, you know, we're happy to upload it, whether it's like gameplay video or whatever you want to do, really.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, cool. Anything else you want to say or shout out before we wrap things up?
No, mate, I think we're all good there, dude. Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Well, I've really chuffed that it was 6 for 6, and I really hope, you know, to our listeners, please, you know, reach out to try and play these games yourself. You know, I genuinely think there's so many wonderful games on the Amiga, and hopefully, you know, Ric's quite a seasoned Amiga boy, and if he hasn't played these, there's a good chance that many of our listeners haven't played them either.
For sure, yeah.
And you know, if you are struggling in setting up the Amiga and how to play these through emulator, reach out to us on Discord, and everybody be happy to help.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
But as I mentioned, the Launchbox tutorial that somebody's done from Launchbox application, it's brilliant. It's really, really good. It's what I
think I'm going to check that out, mate, because I do, like, when I want to bung an Amiga game on, I do sort of have to get my laptop out or whatever. It'd be nice if I could set it up under the telly on just a, you know, have all the, because that's the one thing I find troublesome with UAE is getting the bloody controller mapped. It's always a pain in the bum. It's really unintuitive, the joystick mapping.
And this is what I like with RetroArch. It's got like game saves. You've got all the
save states,
bells and whistles and stuff. And and you can do fast forward, as I discovered, which I didn't want to do until I found out that scroll lock. But you know, it just works. I mean, for me, Launchbox on the Amiga is perfect using RetroArch, because it's where I've always wanted the Amiga to be. You click it, it loads. No faffing, you know. And the box art's so amazing on the Amiga. So it's no hardship seeing all that amazing Amiga box art.
Yeah, wicked. I'm going to have to give that a go, mate. Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Well, until next time, keep it retro and enjoy yourself.
Yep. Take it easy, guys.
Look out for future episodes. Cheers, bye.
Bye-bye.